It's 6 o'clock. We'll call to order the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. And I believe Bob James is going to lead us in prayer.
Yes. First of all, we want to be in prayer tonight. Steve Capps, a longtime employee of the city of Geneseo, had a severe stroke last night, and we don't know his status yet. And I think it was his birthday yesterday too. So a major stroke on your birthday. He was airlifted to OSF, so that's kind of our focus for tonight. Besides the city, let's pray. Dear Lord, we just come to you with open arms, and Lord, we just ask that you be with Steve and his wife and family, Lord, and just cover them in your presence, Lord, and just whatever healing that you've got in mind for him, Lord, we ask that he receive it, and whatever is planned, where your plan for him, Lord, we ask that you make it happen. And Lord, tonight we just ask that you watch over the city, watch over our meeting, give us the ability to make decisions correctly, and Lord, we just ask again that you watch over all of us and give us peace, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Page roll call.
Rothschild, Kennett,
Here.
Swanson,
Here.
Barnhart,
Here.
Roothouse, James,
Here.
Samowski, here, Arnold.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Zach.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, City Council. Here's your Geneseo Chamber of Commerce report for October 2024. We have one new member to report today. We're at 292 members. We're so close to 300, and we will get there by the end of the year. But I'd like to welcome KWQC TV 6 News to the Geneseo Chamber. Very awesome. They will also be doing a Hello Geneseo campaign in February. That's the plan. They're going to be coming out to Geneseo this fall to get some cool drone shots with all the fall foliage. And then we're going to be doing a week-long segment featuring different aspects of Geneseo. One of the pluses about doing this is in February is that we're going to be inside of businesses, right? It's not really sensible to do this outside, I suppose, that time of year, but that will get us inside of businesses and attractions in Geneseo to feature them to the Quad City audience. So looking forward to working with them on that. Past event recaps. So just after the last time we met, we had the citywide fall garage sales, and that's always a hit. Lots of people coming to Geneseo and kind of meandering about town, stopping at stores and restaurants to get something to eat while they shop some cool garage sales. So those are very popular. We're happy and appreciate the collaboration with the city also to schedule the garage sales around the city fall cleanup. So that way those are running in sync as well. We like the garage sales to go before the fall cleanup, not vice versa. Business before hours. We did a business before hours professional networking event over at the Central Schoolhouse on September 25th. We had a full house. We planned for 30, had 29. And so we offered free breakfast to not only some of our veteran business owners, some of our chamber board members, but also to newer business owners in Geneseo so that they could kind of connect with some of our established business owners and maybe kind of form, a mutually beneficial partnership. Not only professionally, but also like a mentorship program, right? Especially if someone's new to running a business. We have a lot of great business owners who have been around for a while, happy to share their wisdom. So that was a really great event. And of course, a great breakfast as well at a wonderful facility. Central Schoolhouse is just gorgeous. An awesome bed and breakfast here in Geneseo. We had a little event called State Street Market last weekend. It feels like every month I'm coming up to you, telling you about a little event, and it was actually huge. Over 7,000 people attended State Street Market. We're pretty proud of that. 60 vendors. We had a lot of food trucks. Great day for businesses. Brick and mortars reported great days. Some even reported their best State Street Market ever. The vendors, again, had some great days, some record-breaking days for some of them. And that's, again, I think just kind of underscores the economic impact the Geneseo Chamber has when we're coordinating these events on all of Geneseo, bringing people and putting Geneseo on the map. I'll put our downtown business district up against any regional shopping district in the area. We're very proud of that. And it's not just the chamber, obviously it's the grit and the hard work that all of our business owners are putting in, all of the vendors that are downtown. But it was an awesome event. We're looking forward to next year's. I want to acknowledge our State Street Market Committee and our volunteers for working so hard to make that event a success. We can't do it. There's a lot of coordination, especially with load in the morning and making sure that everyone's on time. And everything just seemed to go really smooth this year. Now, I have done this 6 times now, so it's kind of a routine at this point. But it was an awesome event, and we're looking forward to next year's. Upcoming events, we've got quite a few. We are in the middle of the Chamber's fall event schedule. So we have the Cruise the Canal Fall Foliage Tours happening next Friday, October 18th. Those tours are sold out, and they, again, bring people driving tourism to Geneseo and also exposing and promoting the Hennepin Canal as a great local resource. And so, and a great state park. So we'll be cruising the canal next Friday. Witches Weekend, which is a shopping promotion in which shoppers can enter to draw in prizes, chamber gift certificates to spend at our local businesses. That will run the weekend before Halloween, October 24th through 26th. And then, of course, Scarecrow Row is happening at the City Park on October 26th. I would cordially invite the city to create a scarecrow to add to all of the wonderful scarecrows. Our goal is 100 scarecrows this year. And businesses make scarecrows, and they will also hand out candy to kids. Kids get to trick or treat at the scarecrows. I think this is the 5th year we've done Scarecrow Row now. So I'm looking forward to that great event at the City Park on Saturday, October 6th. A week after that, we're tying yellow ribbons around all the trees up at the City Park in partnership with the VFW to honor veterans during the week leading up to Veterans Day. So November 2nd, we will put the yellow ribbons on trees. We will leave them there until after Veterans Day. So the 12th, we'll take those down. The Geneseo Chamber Fall Breakfast is coming up. It's going to be Wednesday, November 6th at the Geneseo Moose Lodge. Everyone here is invited. Our speaker for that event will be the CEO of the Quad City Chamber. That's Peter Tokar. He is a newer chamber executive, not only in the chamber world, but to Illinois, the Quad Cities. And in fact, I'll be meeting with him tomorrow, and we'll be doing a walking tour of downtown Geneseo so he can learn more about our community. And so I'm looking forward to collaborating with Peter moving forward, and then having him kind of talk about some regional economic initiatives that they're up to in the Quad Cities, which does have a ripple effect on Geneseo. Christmas open house is coming up on November 15th. That is our little preview to Christmas. We're going to do the first lighting of the new Christmas tree, so there's a lot of excitement there for that. But that's going to be complemented by the candlelight shopping that we have from 4 to 7 that night for Christmas open house, as well as horse and buggy rides. So it's going to be a really unique day in Geneseo in November. And then we also kick off our Shop Geneseo promotion, in which we encourage people to shop at Geneseo businesses. And if they fill out a card for every $100 they spend up at a Geneseo business, they enter to win a variety of prizes. So Shop Geneseo is back. That will run November 15th through December 14th. And then we're going to put an exclamation point on the end of the year with the 2024 Geneseo Christmas Walk. That is Too Many Santas. It's coming Saturday, December 14th. So that is, it's a later Christmas walk, but it's going to be awesome. We got big plans. We just had a meeting today, and I can't wait. So December 14th, we look forward to seeing everyone at the Christmas walk. That does it for my Chamber of Commerce report. So any questions from the council?
Anyway,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, volunteers, I can't credit our volunteers enough. Oh, and of course the city, I say this after every event, but the city is so great with the public works, street department, the electric department, the police department, of course, helping us out with our ops plans and everything. A lot of credit is due to the city employees who help and make that, and the partnership that we have with the chamber of the city. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Zach.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, moving on, city engineering report, Tyler.
Good evening, council. So construction projects, northeast drainage, sounds like we haven't heard from the DOT after our initial review of materials, which isn't much of a shocker, I guess. Oakwood Avenue, North Street services. So Oakwood is completed. Contractor started 2 weeks ago with the services on North Street. We're about halfway done. This week they're pouring back concrete, and Friday they should be pouring back those patches with asphalt, and then they'll start on the second half of services on North Street. State Street, we've completed the water main, sanitary, and the storm. Storm got finished last week. This week the contractor's finishing coring out and grading the subgrade, and tomorrow we should be starting our rock. I would think sometime next week we might start paving concrete. So that project is actually going really well right now. Geneseo Well 33, Albrecht and the subcontractor finished construction, and they're developing the well. Part of that involves getting information for a hydrologist for reports and designs. Exchange Street to Chicago Street and North Street on that sidewalk. We're working with the city for the most economical plan. We've got 3 preliminary design concepts and some estimates for the city to review, and we'll have a proposal for our services later this month at the COW meeting. Pedestrian bridge, we prepared documents for the ITEP grant submittal late last week or late last month. So we'll just be waiting to hear from IDOT on that. The water systems analysis, sounds like we've got 2 running models of your water system so far. We're gonna run a 3rd option, and then once we get those all done, we'll share that with the city staff and see how we wanna proceed with that. In the Geneseo detention, we're working with some information from FEMA to develop a model for the dam break analysis. So, any questions?
What is the water systems analysis? Is that runoff? Is that?
Water main is my understanding with,
Water sourcing and production potentially located on the south side of town, an additional tower.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
It wouldn't be a meeting without the northeast range.
yeah, that might be on there till next year, who knows? Hopefully not, but you never know. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, item number 6 would be public comments related to agenda items. City ordinance allows members of the public to speak and give input up to 3 minutes. During public comment, there can be no debate or action by the city council at this time. Any members of our public? Chief, anybody in the lobby? Gene? No? Okay, moving on to mayor's comments. I have none at this time. City council comments? Any members of the council? Okay, Brandon, city administrator comments.
Yep. 2 Saturdays ago, we had the e-waste day at the street department. Just want to thank the FFA. We had 14 student volunteers out there for another successful e-waste day. I believe we did 32 pallets of electronics that will be refurbished or recycled. Nothing goes to a landfill. We have a neat partnership with PCs for People who refurbish systems that can be reused by low-income families and disabled adults to get into their hands. So something we plan on continuing, and we don't have to pay for disposal. They do it all for free. We of course have the volunteer labor and some of our staff that does it, but just thanks to folks on that. And then just wanted to inform the council that at the October 22nd meeting, Eric's been working very hard. You guys heard about a potential a new solar project for Geneseo in the future. And after much back and forth with our attorneys and their attorneys, we should be coming back at that meeting for further discussion and have a plan that looks like it's going to be feasible to talk about with the council. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, moving on, item number 10 would be finance director comments. 10.1, the treasurer's report and capital assets report as submitted.
This is the budget book. We did receive our final, well, mostly our final tranche of property taxes. So those are coming in. We'll get a little tiny one in November, but it's usually really small. And then we have, what else do we see in here? I feel like our general fund budgets are coming in good. I know that when I looked at water, wastewater, and electric, their revenues were higher than their expenses. All right, next is the treasurer's report. I don't really have a whole lot to say more than what's in the budget because these numbers are in there. I did fix that, Paula, with the account subtracting.
When did you post that?
Correct.
These 2, the last 2?
Yeah, they were today. It's a lot of times because the last week you have the beginning of the month, and with utility, you can't close utilities until everything is done. And so until utilities are closed, we can't update this. Anytime the beginning of the month starts on a Tuesday, it's gonna really run us into getting that up earlier. All right, so the next one is capital assets, and there were only, on the capital asset spreadsheet, there was only 2 line items that changed. One of them was for State Street, and then the other one was for the building. Otherwise, there was no updates for electric.
Yeah, we have not received any invoices for any projects. We still have ongoing projects. The 4160 project, the linemen are working in the downtown area, working with the business owners to try to schedule outages. We have 2 outages tomorrow with Worth and Rothschild, that area right there. They will be replacing a pole and a couple 3-phase banks. We're still working with the railroad to give us permission. Fingers crossed on that one, that we kind of had a breakthrough on it, that they will give us permission to bore the tracks on Chicago Street. Unit 2 overhaul, the turbo has been sent off, the exhaust manifold has been sent off. We're just waiting for those to come back to us. Once those come back, we'll put the unit back together, get it fired back up. The relay project for the power plant started yesterday. They have 2 relays installed. They were doing testing today, and hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have them all 6 of them replaced. I think that's the only projects that I have ongoing right now. The turbo was sent to Washington to actually have it overhauled. In the state of Washington. Yeah, it was either there's a couple different turbo manufacturers that do this. Most of them are like Texas and Oklahoma. This one's out of Washington. What's that? Salina, Kansas is a big one. And then I think the other one I have is the SCADA project. It is an ongoing project. This should be wrapped up by the end of the year. They're programming the PLCs right now. Just waiting to be able to implement that so that the new SCADA will work side by side with the old SCADA, then we can switch it over. And then we'll decommission the old one. Questions?
And then Chad's only main update on here was that the annual street overlay should be finished by the end of the week.
I only had one question, but I did not think answer it. I can hear this. And the only one.
Keep turning my phone off.
I'm sorry. Anyway, something must have come through for State Street, like you said, so I think you just answered that because it was off. It didn't tie from one to the other, so something must have come through.
Yeah.
That's about it. I didn't look at that.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report and capital asset reports as submitted.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Kennett. Roll call.
Kennett,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes,
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 11 would be the consent agenda.
11.1 approval of previous minutes, regular council September 10th, 2024 minutes, committee of the whole September 24th, 2024 minutes, special city council September 24th, 2024 minutes, 11.2 facade improvement grant application for Emerson Excavating, 11.3 O-24-7 purchasing policy update, and 11.4 omnibus method.
Motion to approve using the omnibus method and to approve items 11.1 to 11.4.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Swanson. Roll call.
Arnold,
Yes.
Samowski,
yes,
James.
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Kennett.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. No unfinished business. Moving on, item number 13 under administration, 13.1 would be the Henry County Tourism Bureau update from Kelly Wolf.
Hi, everyone. So we've been working really hard for the last 3 months, and as of last week have officially launched the new Explore Henry County brand. So our website is up and running. We have all of our social medias that are going. We are in the process of making 5 commercials to go out that will probably be aired in the spring to start. I was on 3 of the 4 major news outlets last week. We took over the WQAD's homepage on the day of our launch with all of our ads. I think I counted 17 on there. I will be on Let's Talk Geneseo next week. And I went up to Chicago last week to talk to the Illinois Destination Association, which is the association for Illinois CVBs, to talk about our launch and to get some ideas for different things that we can implement. Learned a lot of new stuff there, so that was a really good conference to go to. This month I'll be making the rounds and promoting to all of the different cities, meeting with business owners, passing out information. We have a couple of printed items. I did this card as well as a larger poster size as well to put in different areas. I was thinking like school gymnasiums, for that way when like the visiting teams come in and they need somewhere to go to eat after the game, they can scan the QR code. It takes them to our website to find out what to do. Or when there's larger tournaments around and they have a few hours in between matches or games, we can help them find different things to do. As well as like, you know, different shops or anywhere that's around that they'll let me put it in. It's just a QR code. It doesn't take up a lot of space. We did bigger ones for different size areas and stuff. We also have mini cards that also have QR codes that take them to the website, our Facebook page, and our YouTube page. So lots of different avenues to try to get the word out. We are doing this month 50 unique posts over our 7 channels, 10 blog posts, 2 newsletters, and we are still continuing our program with WQAD for 45,000 impressions this month. And we'll do the same thing for the next 2 months after as well. So our website, there are pages on there that have like what to do, some attractions, the golf courses, museums, like the Family Fun Center and putt-putt golf and all of that kind of stuff that we could think of to put on there. And we're continuing to add as we go. There is a contact us page on the last one. So if anyone notices anything I forgot, please let me know and I will gladly add it. The restaurants are on there under things, where to eat, places to stay. There's an event calendar, which is user generated. So people can submit events to us and we will get them added to the calendar. That way, a lot more eyeballs out there instead of me just scouring Facebook and everywhere else trying to see what's going on and to add that to the calendar. One thing that I did learn from the conference is that across all the CVBs, their main used page on their website is their event calendar, and it's actually used by the residents more than visitors. So it is a great asset that even on our webpage, trying to bring in visitors, our local residents get to benefit a lot from that too. So looking forward to seeing that grow as people put in. I think that kind of sums up where we're at right now and continuing to add, like I said, to the website. I know I missed a few things. Do you have the video? Okay, this is one of the commercials that we're in the process of completing. This is our rough draft. Maybe. Okay. Any questions while we're waiting? Okay.
Where the back roads beckon. Find your guide to fun at explorehenrycounty.com.
So that one is promoting mainly to like our friends who can getaway, which on our website it ties to, we have 5 sample agendas on there for like like a friends weekend, a family fun weekend, an outdoor weekend for camping and the trails and all of that kind of stuff. So there's 5 of them, and we're making one commercial to tie into each one of our agendas. Any other questions? Well, any questions? All right. We've been trying. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, moving on, item number 13.2 would be the proposal discussion for the purchase and development of parcels 0821 27002 and 0821 27003.
Okay, so everybody remembers the last meeting, we had our RFP openings for the 2 city-owned parcels on First Street. We received 2 bids, one for each parcel. They were both from today's builders. Jeremy Dodge is representing today's builders. He joins us here tonight. He's going to present a little bit about his vision for the bids. Everybody at this point has had a chance to read through the packets, take a look. So we asked Jeremy here to talk about them in a little bit more detail. Jamie will pull up the renderings as we go through them, starting with the headquarters building on the easternmost parcel. The intent tonight is really to do a Q&A and go through any concerns or questions, and then direct Ansel Glink to prepare a real estate sales contract to finalize this deal. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jeremy, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Brandon. This has been a dream of mine to have some property inside of Geneseo, downtown area. It's something that I really believe in, and it's something that I think will help Geneseo as a whole kind of develop, not only for a new building, a vision, something a little different, with hopes of future expansion, with commercial being part of it, with the other parcel on the west side. Really, to start with the east property, not only today's builders will have their headquarters there, but we will also train high schoolers and other individuals in carpentry and our trade. For the most part, it's with Travis Mackey. He does the CTE program, or he kind of leads the CTE program through the high school. Right now we have 3 students that are with the CTE program. And I tell you what, it gives me a lot of joy to see these young kids come through, and for me to be able to help them learn a trade. I think that's going to be a big part of our business for the future. And I would love to have a building that they can learn in. So that's part of the today's builders headquarters. Now, as far as the west parcel goes, I see it more as a commercial expansion. 1, 2, or 3 possible businesses could go in there, whether it's office space, whether it's retail. I really look at it as a building that could develop kind of as needed. Whatever the community needs at the time, I think we could really work with that. But my plans are a little bit vague for the short period of time that I had to work with them. I just drew them up and kind of got what I saw as a vision for the properties. I'm going to stick to it the best that I can, but as far as the commercial goes, I could see the city, if they wanted to be, kind of a helper in the development of it. I could see that being part of the process as well. So. So I don't know if that kind of summed up everything there, but that's kind of my vision for those 2 parcels.
What's the time frame looking at?
Well, the headquarters for today's builders is in dire need. We would probably start on that here this next year. You know, if we're able to obtain the properties, I could see us getting the lot pin locations done here this fall. Blueprints would probably start to go out and, you know, developed through the fall and into the winter. And I'm hoping by springtime, we'd be able to get something started. Kind of depends on, you know, our availability as builders. You know, our first is really to help serve the community. There's a big demand for carpentry in the area, so we have to first make sure that they're all taken care of before we start looking at our own personal projects. So. Commercial, I could see that being a few years out. You know, I think there's some, not only infrastructure to the property, but, you know, I think that's going to take a little bit of thought and planning. I want to make sure that what we're going to build there is going to fit the needs of Geneseo, really. And so I just want to make sure we get it right the first time.
But I think to put a caveat on that, I think the conversations we've had though in this partnership, for I guess a lack of a better word, with the city on marketing the property, kind of with you to a certain extent. I know you expressed the that if we were to bring you the right tenants that obviously that date could be accelerated quite a bit. So on the commercial side, is that fair?
Yeah,
The conversations we've had.
I agree. Yeah.
What's that?
I think if the demand is there, you know, we could definitely figure out how to make it work. So.
I was to say, I really appreciate the fact that, you know, when we talked about selling these parcels, I had some concerns on other people, and I feel like your proposals really address those well. So I thank you for putting together well thought out proposals for those.
Any other questions?
I just think to reflect on what Alderman Barnhart said, I like your visions. You're a Geneseo guy, so I like your approach. You're going to not just, I don't want to say just half, you know what it, but your visions are good. You want to serve the community well. I thank you for wanting to add to our community to make it bigger and better. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Welcome.
Motion to direct the city attorney.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep.
Sorry, Craig. I just didn't want him to stand there and feel uncomfortable. So, what's that? I know, but it does to me. So.
Motion to direct the city attorney to prepare a real estate sales contract and warranty deed for the sale of parcels 08212070002 and 08212077003 to today's builders.
Motion by Arnold.
Second.
Second by Kennett. Roll call.
Kennett,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Barnhart,
Yes.
Roothouse,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 13.3 would be the 2025 budget and 2025 capital project lineup.
All right, so for admin, each of the different departments has its own spreadsheet with projects in it. With admin, we are budgeting for 3 computers that are due to be phased out. Our normal 175,000 for any kind of building repairs that are necessary. We're budgeting in a couple of different areas for a SAN.
What?
What? So right now the city has 12 NAS devices, which is the storage device.
Oh, we did it in the cloud.
Huh?
I thought we did it in the cloud.
What the fuck?
Are we talking about the same thing?
No.
We have like
So
backups.
all of our data in-house is stored on a bunch of NASs that are spread out around the city. This is gonna unify the storage of the city, so all departments will be on one
We
device.
did this right? Oh, we did this right.
But we have like a DR backup to the cloud, don't we?
Some of our hot data that's important goes to Island, but it goes to a NAS and then it goes to Island. So With storage, you want to follow 3-2-1 rule, which is just how it needs to be in different places at once. So there's not one fail safe. So if it's just sitting on a NAS and the NAS dies, we don't lose everything. That's why all of our important.
I thought that's the reason we put everything in the cloud.
But not all data, correct? If we put all of our stuff in the cloud, it would cost a fortune. We only put important data in the cloud. This is all of our aggregate data together will go to the SAN, and then everything that is critical goes to the cloud after also be backed up.
I thought we did, we didn't do this already? I thought we approved
That's,
something.
you're talking about WatchGuard, that's for the PD, so all their stuff goes to the cloud now instead of in-house.
Yeah. So
If that's what you're thinking
videos
of.
and all that. for the police
It was the same way, it was going from a server to a NAS and staying there, now it goes from a server to the cloud via WatchGuard. Same concept.
So it's
for us.
around the city now, you want to bring it to one location?
Yes. Most of these NASs that we have in play are reaching 7 years old, they're reaching their threshold for data, so they're already full. Yes.
So then you just told me you don't want to keep it all in one location.
It doesn't. It gets separated. Like, Roadhouse could step in on this if you want. It is a common practice. It's a very common practice. Yes.
And then you also have to import stuff in the cloud like you like, so that if something terrible happens.
Yes.
The import stuff can be pulled back.
But he just said it all goes in the, you don't want it all in one
Yeah,
place.
The cloud is in one location. That would already be in multiple locations with multiple assets in the cloud.
I think
Craig's trying to understand.
We were saying they were taking it from, it's spread out all over the city and centralized it, so we're going from multiple places to one place. which
Yeah,
just
so I mean,
seems
that
contradictory to
why-
what I just, I know you're.
There's also-
Right, but it still sounds pretty safe if you have it on a local redundant system and
Correct. It's being backed up.
Well, we do that now.
But yes.
We have that now just spread out around the city. You just want to put it in one place.
Well, but
Correct.
we're also running out of life expectancy.
We have multiple that are ready to be, if you want to buy a new
one,
one
or
or
you can get 5 network attached storage units.
I'm not understanding one unit, so five is redundant.
no,
I just don't, what's the life on it?
That just depends on the drive. I would say 7 is probably about right. They might go 10.
Yeah.
Years?
Yeah, but we're already maxed out though. We have filled them up. They're ready to be either we get a newer one that's bigger, or we do this unified storage where all departments utilize it. And it's big, huge. There's multiple drives that have redundancy built into them. So if a drive dies, it just hot swaps out and put a new one in. There's backups within the SAN.
But does that have the same shelf life or is that extended because it's huge?
It's extended more because it's a different type of storage. It's not hard disk, it's flash. So it's like almost like a USB drive.
Like a thumb drive?
Kind of, but a lot more expensive.
It's a lot bigger, a lot more redundancy.
Yeah.
Built for redundancy and all that.
So like if one of the drives is affected, the system doesn't bother the system, it'll just warn them, you can pull it out, trash it, put a new one in, and keep ongoing without having to reboot it.
So is that a perpetual life then, since they're doing that?
I mean, the things that'll burn out will be more like the power supplier.
Yeah, it's not the actual unit
You need
age.
to constantly switch the storage out forever and keep it 20 years.
Correct.
Okay, and that's what we're doing?
Yeah.
That's good.
But there's no assurance that it's gonna be 20 years because there's.
No, I was told.
The harder.
I knew where your head was going, that's why.
Technically.
Oh, 19 years from now.
Oh, yeah.
we're sitting
I'll be
here.
back in that seat 19 years going, where's our redundancy, huh?
It'd be like any new technology.
Yeah. It's literally-
So we'll do this all over again in 5 years?
No, not in 5 years. It's hope for 7. There you go. IT changes. By then, it'll be everything.
Technology changes. But that doesn't mean you have to you have to keep up with it at a certain point, but at some point it's gotta, especially storage.
It's easier
This-
to
this is
replace
like-
with one instead of 10.
What?
This is it.
It's easier to replace one thing than 10 things, to be honest. A lot of, they're very outdated. None of them are able to take updates anymore because they're 7 years old. So there's no more security patches for them. So it's time for most of them to go.
So couldn't you keep them in a separate cloud that's
It's not
continually updated like the cloud is? Isn't the cloud continually updated?
Somewhere else.
Yeah, the cloud's someone else's computer. That's what you're thinking of. The cloud is just someone else's server. The cloud is, there's somewhere.
Put it this way, Garrett's having a fit with one of my computers that's over 7 years old. He says it's
Okay.
about to die.
All right, moving on.
All right, and the last thing on the admin portion is for any kind of miscellaneous equipment or repairs that are needed. This is if somebody drops their laptop and it breaks or something happens, we have it budgeted in there for those types of small things. All right. The next section is electric. All right. You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay. Here, I'll let you pass it.
The first project we have up here is North State Street Underground Project Phase 1. We are looking to get ahead of Phase 2 of North State Street, where we will be putting the utilities underground. Next year, what we plan to accomplish is to bore from Wells to Ogden and then bore to each home to put that all underground. In 26, we will come back and we will set devices, pull wire, and convert all that, and hopefully in time for that project from Wells to Ogden begin.
That can be redundant.
We will have a loop feed through it if that's what you want. We will be feeding from Wells Street and from Ogden. So yes, that'll go all underground, and then
Underground is expensive.
it is expensive, but this is the time that we need to do it because it's only single phase. It's not three-phase running through it, and they're tearing up the road. So we actually have to remove the poles in that section because the back of the curb is on the back of the pole line. So this is the time to go in there and do it.
Makes sense. So that's the plan in the future, if we do street tariffs?
Yeah, if it makes,
Run
yeah,
everything underground?
as long as it's feasible to do. If it's a three-phase line and there's three-phase banks, that's gonna cost
Is
more.
three-phase commercial or is that residential or is it?
That's distribution. It all depends on where you're at in town. If you were to go and try to bury like Chestnut Street, which is a major distribution line for us, we wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah. Well, Walnut Street, maybe. We'll see. We have 64,000 budgeted for that next year, just to get us started. The next project, Unit 2 Overhaul Phase 2. This is to continue with the overhaul for Unit 2. This is going to be buying the parts that it's going to take to do the overhaul. Some of these parts take a long time to get, and we can't budget it all in 1 year. This would be multiple years. So we have broke this up into 3 different parts. So the next one is Phase 2. This is 250,000. This is the purchase of piston liners, bearings, piston rings, gaskets, seals, you name it.
And that's for 1 year?
This would be for 1 year. The next one, power plant window replacement, 4 windows in the power plant. These are old single pane windows. I know you've probably seen the power plant. If you've seen it recently, we've replaced 5, 6 windows this year. These are to continue replacing some of the single pane windows that we've had since 1960 or probably even longer. These windows, the ones that we're going to be replacing are like 5 feet wide by I think 20 feet tall, and we're going to shorten those up. These are the big ones in the back. $25,000 budgeted for that. Power plant switchgear battery replacement. So in the basement of the power plant, we have a battery bank down there that it controls all of our switching on closing in breakers, our power for our relays, all that. The current one has a 20-year life expectancy. We're hitting that. It needs to be replaced. So we have $25,000 budgeted for that. Power plant lower roof replacement. So in 24, we had our roof inspected and we were advised to have it replaced. So we have 52,000 budgeted for that. This year we did the upper roof. So we'll keep them kind of in the same. Stewart Street relay replacement. This is very similar to what we're doing in the power plant, but we're doing it over at Stewart Street. These relays are reaching 25 years old. So we will change them out to the BE1 Flex relays. There's 4 of them there. That's $25,000.
Is that total or?
Total.
Okay.
Yeah, the relays themselves cost between like $3,000-$4,000, but you get the engineering and the protection, the testing, installation, all that stuff. It's pole trailer extension. So we currently, our pole trailer cannot haul an 80-foot class 1 transmission pole without it bouncing off the road. So what we want to do is take our current one and extend it out 5 feet so that we can actually haul a transmission pole safely. That's 11.
80 feet with the power lines are now?
Just the transmission going down Middle Road all the way to, we have 65, 70, 75, and 80 foot. 80 footer are our longest ones. And if we load up an 80 footer, the back of it will bounce off the road. So that's not safe to do. We have $11,000 for that.
Is that why I see Chief Casey out there sometimes pull in the back?
Yeah. Richmond Hill Underground Replacement Project. We have multiple spots in Richmond Hill right now that have faulted cables, and we are unable to loop feed sections of that right now. So this would take care of boring some new duct in and replacing the wire. The wire that's currently in there is direct bury. It's original wire. Over time, with the freeze and thaw, those wires tend to break and we'll get faults in them. Or you have someone that will nick them when they're digging and they don't say anything and then they'll fall. But we have quite a few sections right now where we're backfeeding off of a different circuit and it's not fed the way that it needs to be. But we also are unable to backfeed certain sections because of that. So it's just a lateral feed and not looped. So that's $50,000. Mini skid steer with attachments. So we are looking to replace our 1994 Ditch Witch trencher and our small walk behind trencher, which is about the same age, if not older. Both of these pieces of equipment are requiring more and more maintenance every time we use them. They're big. They can't get into spots. This the mini stand-on skid steer will come with a trenching blade on it. It'll come with forks and a bucket so that we can get transformers in the backyards of like Richmond Hill, Country Manor, on your subdivision where the easements are in the back.
Is there power underground up there?
Yeah. So this will be a smaller footprint, less of us driving a big heavy skid steer or a backhoe back there and taking those transformers back there. And then we'll surplus the Ditch Witch trencher and the trailer with it. And with that, the tilt deck trailer to go with the stand-on skid steer. It's a 16-foot tilt deck trailer, $17,000. We will get rid of our current trailer and sell the Ditch Witch as a package deal. Service pickup truck. So we did have this in the budget this year. I grossly under budgeted this by like half. So instead of trying to come back to council, since we've taken things back to council on 2 different other projects, we decided to put this in the 2025 budget and budget appropriately.
What's your order this year? Did you have more income than expenses?
We're doing okay. I mean, we still have a lot of capital projects and we got still a lot of things going on. So we should end up fairly good. Yep.
So the 674,000, so where does it come from? Some from their profits, any from their fund balance?
You mean from his,
How does this,
yeah, so once we go through the budget, you'll be able to see that they're budgeted in a line item, but it's just one line item. So that way you can see what the projects are. We have them first, and then when we go through the budget, you'll see where it's at in the budget and then where they finish out.
It does not come out of the fund budget. It comes out
That's
of,
what I'm asking.
it comes out of, revenue.
Revenue.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't have to.
About each department had to come out of, has to come out of that department.
It
Well, it
does.
does.
Yeah. It comes out of the revenue that the electric department brings in. We are not taking anything from our, cash reserve unless we had to. I mean, there is some things that could come up where it might be, so if we do, you know, something with the solar array, if we end up going something with that, since it's not
What is their fund balance?
I think we're close to 3 million right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's around 3.
3 million?
But that fluctuates quite a bit because we use that, basically almost $1 million of it just to cover month-to-month stuff. So, I mean, it'll fluctuate depending on the price of power, how many projects we have going on at the time. And it really gets hurt in the first probably 3 months of the budget more than anything. And I think that is it. Any questions?
Yeah.
Sure.
When you give us this report.
Yep.
Can you take some of the columns out and make it bigger so we can actually read it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
It's just, you go through this, it's with the engineering report, right? I mean, I can't.
yeah, I can do something with it.
Well, what columns do you want removed?
I don't know, what do we not need? Task delayed, task planned and estimated start date, key task completed, maybe the summary. I don't know, we can't read any of this. When you tell us this, it's like, all right.
I mean, do you have your laptop or anything? You can blow it up on your laptop.
Just expand it.
I can get rid of columns, but those are all columns that have been requested.
Okay. Just a question.
Just hold it up and-
When you were talking about utilities underground, do you think, is there any chance, any time down the road that we could all be underground eventually, the entire city? Because I know you said,
I mean, I guess it all depends on how much money you want to spend.
right, well, I mean, I'm
That's the
sitting,
biggest thing.
right.
Everything's possible.
I get that, but I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, it's expensive, but in the long run, now in case of a storm, you're not worrying about branches taken out. Guys aren't coming in on overtime to after hours. You know what I mean, yeah.
Residential versus distribution and all that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's opportunities to go underground, we will. And then if there is some benefit to it, we'll always look into it. I think the sticker shock is what's going to get you more than anything.
Right.
Because anytime you put wire underground, you have to go bigger. So when you go bigger, it's going to cost more money per foot to do it. The devices going to everyone's home underground, you have to take into consideration because all those services right now are overhead. Who's paying for it? Is it the utility paying for it? Is the customer paying for it? And then how would you reflect that in also rates?
What would you say the percentage right now of utilities power is underground in the city?
We're probably between 30-40%. I mean, all new subdivisions are underground.
And as you do more road repairs, where they have to tear the poles out, they'll put it underground.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can get in there.
I mean, it was just something, I mean, taking a page out of Paul's book, not trying to ask a stupid question. I just was thinking down the road, how to really save money, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I understand the initial sticker shock would be like, holy cow,
So our plan right now, and talking with the line foreman, is our next phase on things is to identify spots that are very tough to get into and then start burying some of that stuff. There is certain areas that we have a pole line that are in the back of the property that is very tough to get to. Trying to bury some of that stuff. There's some stuff in between Turpin's and Farm and Fleet, which goes right through a fenced in area, but we can't get into that unless we're cutting locks. So we need to identify those areas to see what we can clean up there, and then we just continue going forward. But yes.
Underground had this
The thing about underground, you gotta remember is when a line becomes faulted in the ground, that outage becomes longer if you can't backfeed it. Because the first is that, you know, emergency Julie called in, there's a 2-hour response time. You can't really do anything to dig until it's there. Now, if it's in duct, you might be able to pull it back, pull new wire in, still takes a little bit more time instead of going up there with a bucket truck, putting a splice in there and getting it back up. So there's benefits to it. There's also disadvantages to it. But I think, you know, eventually, yeah, our progress should be towards doing as much underground as we can.
Residential. The best. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Except for the potential blowing up the downtown, I guess. But no, it looks amazing. I was just walking through there 2 days ago.
It sounds like this is like right before the wires got hit. I remember I'd walk out and I'd look down that alley and I'd just say, yeah, one of these days. And then it happened.
Yep.
It was scary.
Yes, do that over.
Park.
All right, next is the park. And he has budgeted for a zero-turn mower for $16,815, and he's going to surplus the equipment that's going to replace that.
So for 2025, we'd be requesting an additional 15,000 for our range facility. That would cover some possible costs that we will incur this year that we weren't expecting with concrete, but then also some extra funds to finish the building down the road next year. Asking 68,000 for one squad car this year. No, it's not a Chiefs Charger. It just depends on the year. They rotate, like Dodge will make them 1 year, then Ford will make them another year. And then, oh boy, Garrett already covered the other part.
It's your portion.
So, and then 3 computers at 2,000 each for 6,000. Those would be it's backwards from Nas. So that would be our request for 2025. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, next is streets, and he has a new street pickup with snow plow budgeted for 80,000. This is to replace the 2012 Chevy K2500 with 95,000 miles. Due to mileage, increased maintenance, and overall wear, the truck has outlived its usefulness to the department. Every year we do annual street overlay. He has budgeted 75,000. And that's just for new asphalt, seals in the road surface. It prolongs the base of the road for several years. Okay, this next one is the Chicago Street Shared Use Path. So for this, plans to direct IMEG to engineer and design a shared use path on Chicago Street from Exchange to Wells. This is one of the areas of Chicago Street that currently does not have any kind of pedestrian sidewalk. And it also includes potential design of extension on Exchange Street from Division to Chicago, as this block also does not contain pedestrian sidewalks.
So it's 100,000 just to plan and engineer and design?
No. So
That's what it says.
Tyler, and he touched on it in the engineering report, and it's probably going to be a little bit different than that report, but in talks with Lauren on this, really our best route is to look at, there's plenty of room on Chicago Street for a shared use path to go back in there. So on the side of the roadway, And that's what we're gonna ask IMEG to take a look at in some preliminary planning this year to do some design. But this is really funds to look at next year, engineering it, getting it all approved, and then putting some funds aside for if we can actually start and paint the path, do proper signage along Chicago to connect up where we don't have a sidewalk currently. And then we'd like to look at, there's that stretch of Exchange that's missing a sidewalk piece too from Division coming to Chicago. So this would, this is setting some money aside to actually get started potentially on that project if all goes well with engineering and approvals too. Yeah, yeah.
Might be good just to have Chad update the description since it says this is to design the sidewalk.
Doesn't say install or any of that stuff or put in.
Just says potential design of extension.
Shared use path.
Yeah, and actually I wrote this one, so we'll do that.
No, but it's good. I mean, I'm not against that. I think it's right. Chicago needs something 100%. So
Yeah. And this is kind of a new concept. I know Lauren mentioned it in a previous meeting, I think when I wasn't here, but that we really talked to council fully about it. It's been brought up for years about the lack of a sidewalk connection there on Chicago, which is a more frequently used area as we expand north on Olivia and the need for that. So I think it's a good thing to look into.
Next is North State Street Design Phase 2. So this is to complete construct design for reconstruction of North State Street, including the pavement, curb and base, sidewalk, storm sewer. Phase 2 is going to be from Wells Street to Ogden Avenue. And this is for $25,000. So with next year, we'll be still completing Phase 1 and then hopes of having our bond fall off in 26 from City Hall building that we could bond out for the next phase.
So this is the design side.
Yeah, to get it all ready to go. All right, next up is wastewater. And first he has for manhole and sewer lining. And this is for pipe rehabilitation by lining the sewer mains with cured in place liner, maintenance hole rehabilitation, lining the manhole with a cured in place liner. He has that lining sewer mains will basically replace the pipe without digging roads up. It will greatly reduce infiltration of water into the system and will ease the demand of the treatment plant.
And remember, this is the goal through the red zone system cammering project that we invested a lot in to now take that data from the film and from the markings on GIS and actually go in and start to work on some of this wastewater infrastructure with the linings.
How long did the liner last?
Tyler?
It's a good question. I don't know an exact, I guess, years on it, but it it extends it quite a bit, the life of your sewer. Actually on State Street, I think we dug up some of the existing sanitary that's deep and there's actually some lining in that. So I'm not sure that sewer's been there for over 100 years, I think.
110 years?
Yeah, but I don't know when the lining is done. And obviously,
I don't remember, so it's been a long time.
yeah. So with
40
that,
years, 50 years?
Oh, I'm
20
I'm
years?
Google says 50 to
51,
60
so-
years.
What?
Google says 50 to 60 years. Yeah. Lifespan.
How many times can you reline it?
that's a good question too. I would only imagine once, but I guess it's possible that they can do it multiple times. It would just constrict your.
That's what you can line.
Why isn't it once?
It reduces the diameter a little bit, but the materials they use to line it, if you were to try to line over that without trying to scarify it somehow, it doesn't get a good bond to it. And so it's difficult to go in and scarify and then put on another liner on top of the existing liner.
Oh, that's a good question. How do you know about this?
I kind of do that.
Oh,
Is that right? 50, 60 years.
Yeah, we would usually say 30, 40.
then his next project is for Red Zone. This is the final payment for Red Zone, and it is $97,500. Next is for wastewater treatment plant improvement for phosphorus removal. Preliminary engineering for plant improvements for phosphorus removal. The selected treatment option is to achieve new limit and for an oxidation ditch. This is a EPA requirement. It has to all be done by end of 2029, beginning of 2030. And that is $90,000.
So there's more to do on the treatment plant?
Mhm.
Still paid for it?
Yeah, so this is more of phosphorus removal from the system. You have to have that done. You have to have a limit that's lower than what the EPA says, and you have to have your.
I get that, but that's done at the treatment plant?
Yes.
Correct.
That we just-
But all along, if you think back to the original discussions on the update of the existing facilities at the treatment plant, part of, I don't want to say the delay in doing this was waiting for guidance from the EPA on exactly what that was going to look like, et cetera, and doing this project in stages. The initial stage that needed the immediate repairs of the system itself, and putting this out till we had better guidance from the EPA, et cetera, what it was going to look like in the design process, et cetera.
Right, and we even thought that the EPA may change things because they had tweaked some regulation. I remember us having the conversation and they said, we don't want it too early because they may turn around and say, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah, the guidance at the time was just do what you need to do now on the structural and infrastructure repairs, at hand. Have this on your radar for the very near future.
My memory serves me, I do believe like the primary clarifiers and the rock trickling filter, those were put in when they redid everything like in 1986, Bob, about that time. So they're well aged. So.
Yeah,
And this last one for the wastewater treatment plant is the retainage payment. It's the final payment for the wastewater treatment plant, and that is $50,000. Next is water. And the first thing I did was summarize what that utility customer is going to have on their bill for infrastructure improvements. And so you're going to see quite a few capital projects, but there are items that are purchasing like equipment, which we did not say that we would use it for infrastructure costs. So only those items are here. He does have budgeted more than $675,000, but the $675 is the only thing that will hit the utility billing account every month. And so it's gonna
So
go.
those will go $15 a month next year?
Nope.
It's actually gonna go down.
61 cents.
Yeah, I'm saying it's almost 50. So his first project is to retire a 4-inch water main on Chicago Street, cut and cap water main on Chicago Street from Main to Locust, and switch over services to existing 12-inch water main. And that is a carryover from this year that they weren't able to get done for $100,000. Next is a utility truck, new Ford F-250 with utility box or equivalent, replacing a 2012 Ford F-150 utility truck with 102,000 miles.
That doesn't seem like a lot of miles.
You remember the idle, they don't drive, it's not like highway miles. I mean, it's rough miles.
Well, and beyond that, without seeing the vehicle firsthand, I mean, 2012, that's 13 years. I don't know what kind of rust condition or anything else it can be with it too, especially when it comes to these utility boxes.
And that is for $70,000. Next is a mini excavator and trailer. And this would be a new Mini X. Justification, machine versatility. It offers increased power and deeper digging capability compared to a mini excavator on a rubber tire backhoe.
I assume that because Eric is looking at getting ones as well. Skid steer. Oh, it's skid steer. They had a blade.
So do they need one that digs deeper?
Yeah, we rented one for, I don't know, what, at least. So, it's actually, to be honest, it's probably something that should have been looked at a few years prior. We just weren't in a position to really do so at the time.
That is 145,000. Next is the Olivia Drive Water Main Addition. Olivia Water Main Extension, it's going to be extending a 6-inch water main from the end of Olivia Drive west 260 to an 8-inch water main that runs from Ogden Avenue to the Country Club. The project would include engineering, permitting, and installation for 60,000. Next is well drilling for future water expansion. Well drilling exploration engineering continues to work on preliminary engineering report and preliminary design for the water system. We will need to do potential well drilling later this year. And that would be 200,000.
So we're drilling another well?
Yep.
Mhm.
This is the test drilling for it.
Next, the North Water Tower. It needs to be sandblasted and painted for the next year. They can't repaint it because it's already been painted too many times. And that project is 375. And if you would like to know more, Keith can tell you more about that too.
You do this too, Keith?
Kind of.
Next is interior cleaning and rehabilitation of the South Water Tower. Drain, clean, wash out the South Water Tower, and paint the interior if necessary. And that is for 40,000.
So to paint the interior of a water tower is 40, to paint the outside is 375.
And actually, to be honest, without getting too deep into the discussion, the 375 is.
Well, and actually on the standpipe, that actually is to wash it out, to clean it, not to repaint the inside of the standpipe for 40,000. And the elevated tank, I don't know if we've gotten anything back or not, but we hopefully have come up with an innovative way to get it accomplished properly and probably save almost $250 million.
Yeah.
In real dollars. No. But yeah, it definitely needs it. It's been, it has at least 4 coats of paint on it. You know, when it was originally built way back by CBI, somehow they managed to paint the water tower with the lettering and main color tower backwards. So it was a dark green water tank with light green lettering. How the whole thing got painted before somebody noticed that, I don't know. So CBI at that point then recoated it. But that is now an extra coat of paint on the tank. So we had 2 to start with when it was first built. And it's been overcoated at least a couple of times after that. And there, you reach a point to where you just can't keep laying layers on top of layers, and we're at that point.
Is the rest of that right?
The inside was redone probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and so that's in good shape. There's some spot corrosion occurring on the outside, but nothing that's really deteriorating the steel to any significant amount yet. But it's at the point where we really need to take care of it.
This is the north one, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, next is the actual budget proposal for 2025. I'm not going to go through every line item, similar as years past. I'm just going to kind of highlight where there's bigger changes. So in the general fund revenues, I did not, well, first of all, the property tax for the corporate, I reduced it. Our request from the police pension increased. Last year's market was really bad. So we didn't earn as much in investment that they thought they would. So they're just asking for a little bit more. And so in turn, I just lowered the corporate levy to make up for the police pension. And also in doing that, our personal property replacement tax, usually any excess we throw into corporate, And for that, that's all gonna go towards the police pension.
Paula, did I hear that you have more discussion on that? Before we move along, I guess.
So you're saying that pension didn't earn the funds that they had it in? So you're saying that the funds that they had invested in didn't perform as well as it should? And
Correct.
so
The
you're
market
having to
last
make it.
year was a lot lower than expected. So
Who
not
controls
this year,
That seems
last
strange to
year,
me.
2023, the market dropped.
Because I thought the market overall was higher, but
This
I.
year
This year, yeah, last year.
Oh, you're saying the
Yeah,
oh,
it's always-
okay.
Yeah, it's always a year
Okay,
behind.
so we're a year behind, because I was gonna say that is making no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. No, it was,
So we're like a year behind.
Yes.
yep.
Okay.
And what else do I have? And then the only other bigger change in this is the general fund interest. In all of the funds, the interest is almost tripling because of moving everything into that pooling account that gets sent out of central bank. So we earn a lot more money, we earn almost $50,000 a month on interest doing that.
Yes.
Thanks for reading
As far as expenses, for the general fund, budgeting for salaries, we don't have any of our contracts shored up yet, with union negotiations, so I have a percentage in there that will cover hopefully what they request. And then health insurance is gonna stay pretty close to what it was. Our premium went up slightly, but not very much. And that's about it. Our transfer outs, again, those are whatever that fund needed to make it a zero. So once I get to inspections, you'll see that I transfer in the $80,000, and then it comes out of here to go in there, and it makes them at a zero. All right, next is fireworks, kept it at the same budget. We are gonna write a grant to the foundations to help pay for some of the fireworks. We didn't get nearly as much in donations as we did in the past from local businesses. And then the next one is for council, and it is budgeted for salaries to go up a little. I don't know, Brandon, if you want to talk on.
Yeah, I
what your
think,
plan is.
yeah, more to come. I think it's, appropriate that we put forward a measure coming up here, though. I think it's been about 20 years since any elected official pay has changed. So something slight, and making a move there is, in my opinion, appropriate to look at. We'll coordinate with Ansel Glink, but there's a lot of provisions around doing that where you wouldn't, immediately see an increase. I believe it would be on your next term in office, but we'll look at that closer. But we talk about comps with unions, with wages on employees and things, and we're not comparable with elected officials in Geneseo anymore because it hasn't shifted in about 20 years. So that's all I got.
That's fine. The only thing I would add is make sure if you're going to change the compensation for elected officials that you're doing it in your next meeting in October, because it has to be 180 days before the election.
Okay.
So and it would only affect then whoever's up on the April consolidated or May, that gets voted in May, and then it'll hit the compensation increase would hit the next set of elected officials the following 2 years, but you do need to move on it because it has to be 180 days before the election.
Okay. We can expect that October 22nd.
So overall for the, and I haven't gone through the rest of the funds, but the transfer outs include the rest of the funds. So revenues over expenses, it's slated that the general fund will end 410,000 to the good.
Is that a conservative look? Or is that-
That's the budgeted look. I mean, there's the expenses are less than what we expect to take in as revenues. Next is inspections. And we did increase building permits. There has been a lot of building permits this year. We don't anticipate that there's gonna be, again, 95,000 in it, because that's what we have this year. But, and that's due to all the storms, the people, everybody getting new roofs. But he did anticipate that that revenue would go up around 15,000. For expenses, we don't currently have a plumbing inspector. So we have Rick's salary in there and an estimated, if we were to get like a part-time plumbing inspector in there, what that would be on top of his salary. And I believe everything else in his stayed the same, or pretty close to the same. Next is Public Works Street. For the street and bridge, I did increase, I always try to keep that to the highest rate that we can levy. And so I'll move other ones down to make sure we stay in line with the rate. So like you'll see later on that the crossing guards, I levied less because the school is essentially paying for their, almost all their salary. So with that, in turn, I levy, for the ones that are really needed, I levy to the highest percent that I can. And it's usually the streets and then the public safety. And for salaries, again, same with them. We budgeted for a slight increase in salaries, not knowing what it's gonna be. We anticipate somebody to retire, so you'll notice the retiree health insurance is a little bit higher. And then for street maintenance, it did go up. He's increasing that an additional 25,000 because salt is not going to come out of MFT for 2025. Next is cemetery, and there's not really a lot of differences with cemetery. We've budgeted pretty much the same for plots and grave openings, some slight increases and decreases there. And expenses are slated to be close to or in line with what they are.
That trust is still there, is that not still there? Is that still losing, or is it kind of balancing itself out?
You're talking about like petrol care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Petrol care.
I mean, it
That's
gains
fair.
a little bit with the lot sales and grave openings, but only part of that goes in there. The rest of it does go into the cemetery fund.
Okay, but that was, a while ago, it was declining quickly.
Yeah, we haven't expensed a whole lot out of there, so everything else is getting expensed from here, basically.
Yeah, 'cause there's very strict rules on what you get.
Yeah, yeah. Next is park. Again, those revenues are pretty much gonna be the same for park, shelter reservations, park fees. For the expenses, he has on here for a little bit more for ground contractual for herbicide treatments. That's about all that's really increased and decreased.
You know, for parks in for Richmond Hill, we implemented phase one, but there was gonna be a whole thing where we're thinking about putting in a trail with athletic equipment. Have we ever talked about going back and revisiting the Richmond Hill, the later phases? We were driving down 53rd Street and always, my wife's like, oh, look at all that nice equipment. It reminded me that we were at one point talking about doing that at Richmond Hill.
Yeah, I mean, phase one was done with that OSLED grant. We could certainly look at that. Coming up. Yeah. Coming up here, we're going to talk about an enhancement in Richmond Hill too that was discussed about in one of the later phases, which is a stage facility out there.
Sure.
That we'd like to do with some hotel Melto funds with the goal of doing some grant funding in there too. But
I was just thinking it'd be nice to kind of keep things, maybe not that kind of scale, but keep moving along. Just food for thought.
All right, next is for public safety. And for the revenues, just some of the bigger things I've talked about. I did increase the levy for police protection to fall in line with the rate. And then increased the police pension to what the request was.
So seeing it was a better year this year for the police pension, it should be less next year then, I'm assuming?
Well, it's an actuarial, so it's based on who's retired, how old they are, if they're married, who's on the force, how old they are, how many they are. So they could ask for more or less. It just depends on all the factors that go into that.
I was just thinking that if you had a really good year, that maybe it would be an opportunity to pay down or pay more. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because it's always going to be there.
Right.
So it might be that opportunity to pay a little bit more.
Where are we at on that now? Don't we have to be at a certain percentage by a certain time?
Yeah, we're already there once we did our bond.
Okay, so we bonded it and did it?
Because we borrowed that money.
Okay. But that's still a better deal than what, if we would have gone the other way though, right?
Yeah, because we would be levying for more.
Okay.
Every year it would just continue to increase and increase.
Okay. And when are we projected to be at 100% or not, or?
Well, it fluctuates every year based on the actuarial. So some years we might get really close.
To 100%?
No, we'll probably never get to 100%. Right, what they want you to be at is, I think it's 80% by 2040 now. And so we're already there. We're ahead of the game with that. We're close to 90%.
Okay.
Adding new people on and depending on when they retire.
Yeah, and how many surviving pensioners you have, and as people pass away, any disability claims, the fund they have to pay at some point. There's just a whole host of unknowns. That's why the actuaries do their voodoo science and come up with this number.
Voodoo science.
I don't know, there's really a better way to describe it. It's incredibly complicated.
All right.
We got budgeted sex offenders.
Chief can explain that compliance.
Yeah, so as a registrant, to be legit with the state of Illinois, there is a fee that you have to pay. So that would,
To be a sex offender?
no, to be a registered.
Fulfill the requirements.
We take fingerprints and we have to talk over to the state. We have to charge. So you charge the person for that? State requires it. And you get money, you get paid?
It goes into, it goes into, it's to be done, it goes into different.
Yeah, we have to send 3 different checks to 3 different places to cover that.
Just don't get that.
All right, so for the PD, I think some of the major notes we have on here is anticipating for uniforms to increase a little bit due to needing some new vests and new employee outfitting. that's about it. We have our normal bond payment that's in there and the interest for that that's in there. And you'll notice with everybody's IT software, it's gonna continue to go up. Questions so far? Okay. Yes, there is. These next ones are really quick. Okay, the A police, A, B, and C police, or A, B, and D, we budget the same amount every year. So there's not any changes with that. Those funds, some of them get used some years and some of them don't. It just depends on what the need is and what comes in. This next one is for workman's comp. This is a tax levied item and it pays the workman's comp premium for admin employees. Next is for Social Security, and that one is also a levied fund, and it covers Social Security for admin employees. And the next one is for IMRF. That is also a levied fund, and it covers the IMRF requirement that the city has to pay in for employees. The 2014 debt fund is for our bond payment for the building here. So what happens is we take the money from the general fund, we put it into this fund, and then we pay our bond payment with it. Sure.
So, Social Security, you know what it's going to be. You should, real close.
Mhm.
Why do we levy for that? Why don't we figure that into our budget? Why do we have to levy for Social Security when it's almost a known thing? I can understand maybe the work comp policy or whatever.
Your admin employees are typically always going to be paid for out of your tax levy.
Why?
So for your IMRF, Social Security, and workman's comp. It's just how most cities run it. That's a line item on the tax levy.
Okay.
Henry County, I mean, all the counties, schools, everybody levies for those items to pay for admin employees. For your electric, wastewater, and water, the ratepayers pay that.
And when you say admin, you mean general fund employees?
I mean, yeah, so,
Right.
and except for IMRF doesn't cover the police staffing other than telecommunicators. But it is parks, streets, cemetery, admin, that is all of our IMRF, Social Security, and workman's comp.
Okay.
Next is cemetery. We don't have anything as far as any expenses budgeted out of there, just the revenue from investment income. For MFT, down to my spreadsheet. I have some notes. So we just have that asphalt overlay for 175,000. And then obviously we'll take in the allotments revenue to pay for street lighting and the asphalt overlay.
I'm just curious, why did he pull road salt out?
I believe he didn't get the contract in time, or the city, something with the state and contracting. So,
He was able to get better pricing.
is that what it was?
I believe so, by waiting, yeah.
The next one is the fuel depot, and this is for all of our city vehicles. Basically, we purchase the fuel and then we charge the different departments for the fuel plus a few cents for the upkeep of the fuel depot.
It's currently at 15 cents.
The next one is for hotel motel, and for that, we have budgeted a couple of things. We have Brandon had mentioned Richmond Hill Park having some sort of stage. So normally like the 4th of July, we have to pull in that flatbed. It's not the safest, as we like this last year, walking up it and everything, it was, I feel like really dangerous. So we do need to get something there. And then we need to replace the banners that are down, going along by Walmart. It's by
Interstate
Walmart.
corridor, yeah.
So those are projected in there. Otherwise, for hotel motel, the funds that come out of there are for the chamber, for the tourism bureau, and for the economic development for Henry County. The next fund is the Economic Development Fund, and that gets funded by general fund, water, wastewater, and electric. Typically, this is going to be, the best example is going to be like Save a Lot, where we offered so many different things for them to come in. So we budget every year just in case there's a business that we want to give some sort of incentive to come in. So this is totally different than our TIF districts. Next is electric. You want to take that over and have a break?
Sure. For 2025, you will see that we did bring revenues down a little bit and kind of bring them back into where we're seeing them come in. Normally what I'll do is I'll take the average kilowatts and we'll go out and we come up with this number, try to make it fairly accurate so that we meet or exceed what we need for expenses coming in. So you do see it come down just a little bit. We do see this year was a very weird year. So we did see revenues kind of come down a little bit. So we're kind of following that trend. I don't have my notes on any of this.
For the bond, it's our last
Yeah.
bond payment for the solar field.
The
bond.
solar field bond will fall off. This will be the last payment. Next year will be the wind turbine, or 27 will be the wind turbine. A lot of the line items in here have stayed all the same. We have kind of moved some stuff around depending on what projects we have going on. Engine auxiliaries, we have fuel filter, oil filters, and turbo filters coming out of it. We got a main fuel filter coming out of it. We have our exhaust readers all have to be replaced. We have 6 left to change out. That's all coming out of O&M. That's kind of,
Yeah, that's all the notes that I have.
Yeah.
Then the capital, obviously, we talked about how it's broken out. And so you'll see here, this is a line item for capital, and then this is another line item for capital. So one's for the plant and one is for the line crew.
Yep.
Did you start with that Canadian company now?
Waterworth,
What is it?
Waterworth.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, those- the Canadian people that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's in
Level
tonight's,
rates.
yeah, it's in tonight's Bill's packet. There was a 24 budgeted item for the utility rate study.
So they started already then?
They'll start.
No, so this budget is off of our current rates, the current structure, everything. So probably next year.
Next year what?
Next
I
year.
thought we had to pass something quickly so you could get them on board as soon as possible.
Yes, for 2024, we start contract with them November 1st. Yeah.
Yep.
And they'll affect, they're the ones that can look at the rates and stuff and help you with that stuff?
Yep, so we'll do long-term planning on that, 5-year, 10-year, some big items, figure out where we are, how we can budget for it, how we can, if we need to increase rates or restructure the rate the way that it currently is, make small changes.
So if you had that solar thing or whatever project you're working on, they'll help you with that as well?
Knowing that, down the road, we will have that large expense. So we could do 2 different things with it, where you could build it into your rates currently and help pay for it, or bond it.
But they show it live. So you can fluctuate rates and then change the chart completely long-term, all that stuff. Right?
I'll let you know once we get our hands on it.
Okay, November 1st.
And it's anticipated that he will end $9,000 to the good. The next one is the electrical meter deposit. Again, this is one that we just, it's deposits that come in from new customers or they go out from existing customers that are moving out of town. It goes in that fund. The refuse, we have budgeted for a couple of cleanups just as normal. And then for the revenues, we have it increased with what was passed earlier this year. And then our expenses there.
So are we still doing two cleanups again next year, or at some point we're gonna talk about that? We're not talking about it, we're doing it?
It's slated to do two. I know we had a meeting a couple of times and it was determined that we were gonna continue with the two.
Yeah, that's how we talked about when we revisited the actual contract.
And that's up in end of 20.
Yeah.
We extended it by the year, correct? So it'd be the end of 25.
Yeah, the Republic contract expires at the end of 25. So we're going to be going out to bid on refuse services next year.
So next year we'll do two, but then next year we'll look at 2026 doing.
It seems like
If
that
we're
would be
doing
the
anything
proper
else,
time,
we'll do
if you're gonna
Right.
put out an RFP for vendors, that would be the proper time to detail it, expected service.
Yeah.
All right. For water, in here, the revenues are anticipated to just go up slightly based on the approved rate increase. And one of the revenues that went up was for rental income. We have a new cell tower. So that line item went up roughly $16,000.
This one downtown.
Oh, the county.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the south tower. Yeah.
And for his bonds, the bond payments in there, there's the first bond, it's a split between water and sewer. It's gonna fall off in 2026. That'll be our last payment. And the next one will fall off in 2027. And those are both water and sewer bonds. And then down here for his capital expenses. So the equipment, like the mini excavator, utility truck, those items are in this $215,000 capital. And the ones that are going to be used for the infrastructure are in the other capital line item. And he anticipates to end 40,000 into fund balance, almost 41,000 in fund balance. The next fund is, again, it's very similar to the electric deposit. We have a water deposit and an electric deposit. So these are just funds that are constantly going in and out. Next is wastewater. There is not really an anticipated increase at all. Normally we would come and request for an increase, but the thought is with getting water work in, let them do their study and then increase the rate that's necessary. And then the first part of the expenses are going to be the EPA loan, what the loan requirement is for that. That one drops off in 2042, so we have quite some time. But the other EPA loan, our last payment, we will pay next year for that. And then on a line item, he has added money for disinfection costs. He's increased the chemicals line item. Took it just, he says chemicals are coming in a lot more expensive than they were in the past. For dewatering, normally we have had that as a zero balance, but the landfill fees for sludge is going to be 12,500, so that needed to be budgeted for. 0. And then he is anticipated to come in right on budget.
That's a change in our design, right?
We
Yeah,
got away from the applicator truck and the holding and trying to time it right with harvest.
Now it
All the
moves into
seasonal
those
changes
block
of everything that
thingies.
goes on, and then we dry cake and get rid of it. Right. And, well, would have been replacing that truck, so it would have been.
So that's why it's right.
Correct.
They have specific landfills for sludge then? Or where we take it to dump it, or?
It's called the dry cake method, if I remember.
Okay,
It's
okay.
like-
I want to say it's in, is it Peoria that they're having to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just
Okay.
regular.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's dried out, it's
Yeah.
processed through some process.
Yeah, they add a polymer
Right.
to it, they compress it, if you water it, and it's a dry cake by the time.
It's good for the landfill.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, the farm, like you said, the Big A, they used to drive the Big A out to farms. Farmers would use that and, exactly. Right.
Big A was shot.
Yeah.
Extremely expensive to replace.
I mean, it's,
Rolling the dice of being able to find a place.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. That truck was, once again, probably when they redid that in like 1988, 89, that truck was there, put in. Yep.
The next fund is another police account, Article 36. We budget the same in there every year. For the 82 investor, this TIF does not gain any money because we still pay the developers that develop Save a Lot,
Single parcel.
single parcel. The next one is for Route 6. And we don't have anything planned in there other than revenues and legal fees. We have downtown. For that, we've taken our property taxes. We have, their garland needs to be replaced. So we have a little bit in there to replace the garland on the poles. I think that when Chad looked, it was like 2012.
It's lasted for a while. Yeah.
And then we also, in there, we also budget for facade. So that way, if any businesses apply for facade improvement, we have it already budgeted in there for that.
Just continues to be a very popular program and way to enhance a lot of the buildings that look good now because of it.
And then we don't have anything budgeted for the South 82. For admin capital, our normal revenues are gonna be budgeted in here. And then for the actual budget items, when you see the expenses, it's the expenses for parks, streets, cemetery, PD, and admin, all lumped into one. So even though we had the project sheets separated by department, they're all in here. I think the only thing that we didn't have on there for a line item was street maintenance. There is some street lighting and ADA requirements from the DOT that have to be done next year. So that is in there. And then we did budget for an additional camera coming in and out on Route 6. And then our storm siren for maintenance for that. Other than that, that was it. The next one is for health insurance fund. This is your retiree money's going in, money's going out. And then the last fund on here is the American Rescue Plan, and we do not have anything budgeted for next year. And we're more than likely going to expense it all this year for the State Street project. That is the budget.
We also, when we come back, we're gonna add the pedestrian bridge in and out to
Oh, yeah.
250,000. If we get that grant, we'll have money from the Geneseo Foundation coming in for half and 50 to 80% coming in from the state if we get that grant. So
anything that gets changed between now and the next meeting for approval will be highlighted in yellow, similar to years past. And we do have it slated, and it's in the newspaper for a special meeting before. Yeah, we have to put it in our budget in the newspaper, post it 10 days before for public hearing.
Ghost newspaper.
It's the Republic,
Still a requirement.
yes.
Even though it's really not a newspaper?
Yep.
Fairway flyer.
Yep. Right. You still have to look in the closest newspaper, even if it's a ghost newspaper like we have here.
When will that? Will they change that and say, you know what, you gotta post it?
They are working on the IML website to have like a one posting space, but I think that they're still going back in with the Senate and the House deciding if they wanted. It is.
Any discussion or assignments back to the staff?
It's like, to me, that well thought out. You know, it's kind of online with last year or this year's budget.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
I mean, it's fine.
Moving on, 13.4 will be the Allure PUD amendment.
All right, this is an item moved forward from the Plan Zoning Board to the City Council for final approval. This is a proposal by the Allure facility here in Geneseo. They're applying for another HUD loan, and one of the requirements in the loan is that they've realized they have to split their independent living units from their skilled nursing facility. So this is lot one in their current PUD that they have on file now. So this is a minor change. The concept and intent of the PUD stays the same. There's no change in what's actually happening in the facility. So this is simply approving a shift in being reparceled, that lot one, with a center line down the middle so they can apply for a grant that they wish to get.
Motion to approve 02408, an ordinance approving a minor change to the planned unit development for Aurora, approving an amended plat of the subdivision.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Swanson. Roll call.
Arnold,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Roothouse.
Yes.
Kennett,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 14 would be the payment of city and utility bills.
I don't have anything.
Motion to pay the bills, city bills is presented.
Motion by Arnold, second by Roothouse. Roll call.
Kennett,
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Barnhart.
Yes.
Roothouse.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 15 would be public comments related to all their items. City ordinance allows members of the public to speak and give input up to 3 minutes. During public comment, there can be no debate or action by the city council at this time. Gene, by chance, is anybody in the lobby? Okay. Moving on, item number 16 would be a move into executive session for 5 ILCS 120/2C2.
Motion to move into executive session for 5 ILCS 120-2 C2.
Motion by Arnold, second by Roothouse. Roll call.
Swanson,
Yes.
Roothouse. Samowski,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
James.